Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Industry Transition Zoom call. I'm very lucky to have Tad Edwards with me today. In fact, as you can tell, we're sitting in the same office, which happens to be Tad's office. So wonderful to have you here, Tad.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm struck by the memorabilia behind me. You know, any sports fans out there, we have Wilt Chamberlain basketballs, we have signed boxing gloves, pretty nice stuff, Tad.
Yeah, I mean, I like that stuff. And my grandfather was a huge sports fan. My father was, and now my son is because of me, I guess. But I love the boxing gloves, the Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig baseballs, and Jackie Robinson and all that stuff.
Jackie Robinson's your favorite.
Yeah, Jackie Robinson would be my favorite.
Yeah.
And then Lou Gehrig would be next.
Yeah, great player. I consider myself I still remember that. They had all the monuments when I was a kid in Yankee Stadium. It was always, a lot of fun to see. So I'm here at Ben Edwards headquarters because we just came back from their shareholder meeting, which was a ton of fun. And I think that advisors would benefit a little bit from hearing, first of all, your thoughts on the meeting and how it went, but just talking about, kind of where the firm is going and versus kind of where you think the industry is going and how all that stuff aligns. It's a loaded question, and I'll interrupt you while you're talking about it.
Sure. Yeah, Tony, great question. The shareholder meeting went well. We've been doing this about 14 years now, and we're having a lot of fun, although our firm was really 135 years and 5 generations. But we're having a boatload of fun every day. We have a great leadership team, and we love our culture. People look forward to coming to work every day. They go home, they're proud of where they are.
Well, I think it feels different. I know this. I'm walking around the office talking to everybody. Owners act and feel differently.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you go into a restaurant and you deal with the maitre d', and the maitre d' is great. The hostess is great. The host is great. But when the owner of the restaurant comes up, you feel more special.
Yeah.
And many of our people here are owners. They own our stock close to the ground floor. They're excited. They're pumped. And there's a different feeling from being an employee and being an owner.
So, my feeling is that as our industry matures or changes even more than matures, right? Because we're already pretty mature, but as the industry changes, advisors are looking for things that are different than they looked for, 20 years ago. One of the things that they're looking for is equity. It's almost a back to the future kind of thing, the old fashioned partnerships and things like that. So it was an exciting presentation about, the share and how shares and how well they've done. Are there those same opportunities for advisors joining your firm today?
Yes. Yeah. Great question. I like to think of us somewhat as a private AG Edwards, where, AG Edwards had 54% of the stock owned by institutions, and we're private. We're owned by our employees, our family, and our friends of our firm. And that's it. We don't have any debt. We have no institutional ownership, no venture capital, no private equity. We really don't want that. We want to be able to control our destiny here, and no one ever has to look over their shoulder and out of fear and paranoia that we're going to be bought out, because we are the owners. And I think a lot of people out there are looking for something entrepreneurial where they can feel that freedom and independence, and people can get that here at Edwards.
Yeah, and I think and have the ownership, which in my mind is one of the critical things driving advisors today in terms of looking for firms. When you look at the industry and you see some of the changes, what are your thoughts on how you're going to lead this firm through those changes? Including you have a lot of regulatory stuff going on. We have pressures in terms of what we talked even today at your meeting about inflationary pressures and things like that. There are some headwinds, but there's also a lot of opportunity in terms of technology. Maybe where our business is headed.
Yeah, I mean, we outsource our technology. We use Pershing as a clearing firm, and we like to outsource almost everything. We think it works better for us. I think there's a lot of people out there that are advisors that were doing okay, but I think when they look back after they retire, I think a lot of them are going to look back and wish they would have joined a firm like ours, perhaps, where they can be an owner, feel like an owner, they can help craft our future. They have a voice, and we love their voices. We get them together at retreats and golf outings and dinners, and we pick their brain. And half of our board of directors are people from the branch system. because we value what they have to say, and that makes us a better firm.
We also talked a little bit, today. I mean, obviously, in my mind, the future is sort of this multi-custodial equity, multi-platform. Those are kind of the things that are driving, advisor moves today. You guys are putting together an RIA model as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I mean, we have.
What was the thinking behind it and all that?
Yeah, well, we have three pillars here, really, three channels of our business. We've got our broker dealer, our branch system. We've got 91 branches in 31 states. And we're growing. We've got another one coming up shortly, and then another one coming up shortly after that. We're very excited. But kind of like Coke and Diet Coke, our brand system is Coca-Cola, but there's some people that want Diet Coke, and we don't want them to have to go to get Diet Pepsi to get something diet. So we created an RIA model here. We've got 5 affiliates around the United States as a start. And those people that would love to be part of Edwards, but they like to own their own business, but then affiliate with us. We've got the RIA model. We also have an investment banking model, which is largely a M&A, sell side, some buy side practice. And we think that could be fantastic, maybe even the fastest growing of that group. But we
talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of people who own a business all over the country, but let's just say the Midwest, where the owner gets to a point where there's no successor, or they want to sell, or they want some kind of a new strategy. And our M&A bankers are phenomenal. They're very experienced, they're very smart, and they help business owners create solutions for the rest of their life, which may end up in a sale. And they're grateful that we can help them do it. And people that try to do that on their own, it's very complex. And we think we offer a ton of value there.
Well, it's interesting because when you look at there's a lot of motion around the RIA space, right? People are moving there, but it's rare that you'd find an RIA that has M&A capability or the ability to sell companies. I mean, that's just not typically what you see.
No, and that's true, but also the M&A practice really does fit pretty nicely as far as the dots connecting, because when a business owner sells a business, they generally get a lot of money, and there's times when the financial advisor introduces the bankers to the company that is sold, and then we get to keep the proceeds. All the sale proceeds would come to us. So it's a exciting 3 pillars. Well, who knows, we may add another 1 or 2 on over the years, but we want to do what we understand and where our skill set is, and stick to our knitting.
So with maybe an inflationary environment that we haven't seen in a long time, typically a drag on stocks, what do you think it's going to do to the business, the business in general, not necessarily just Ben Edwards, but just the business in general, and then maybe how you think it's going to affect Ben Edwards?
Yeah, I mean, some people think we're in a recession now,
right.
And recessions go a certain period of time, and then they're over. Bear markets, there's been, I don't know, 50 of them, whatever, but they all end at some point and become bull markets. So, I'm a long-term thinker. I'm a history buff, and I look at the last 100 years and how the markets have worked, and I'm a long-term optimist. And we work through challenging markets, and
we know how the story's going to end.
Right. Exactly. And it's going to end that quality companies over a long period of time do better and better, and they have headwinds like we do and everybody does. But if you're a talented company, private or public, is aware of the headwinds, and they figure out how to navigate it, and to occasionally through adversity, they end up working through it and winning.
And for a financial advisor sitting at his or her desk, trying to make this happen, what do you think the future for them is?
Oh, I think for the financial advisor, it's a home run right now.
Right.
I mean, every study I read and it will say that people that have a financial advisor do better. People that do things on their own, and not that that's a bad thing, but they often do not have a plan. They often get out of the market at the wrong time, get back in at the wrong time. and they try to time the market, and rarely, if ever, does that work. So really what we're doing here is we're not really into the trading as much. Ours is really long-term financial planning, estate planning, and that's what we do. We try to create solutions for people. We find out what they need, what they want, where they want to go, how they want to get there.
If you did that planning early on, this is not so much of a challenge.
No, it's not.
Right.
Yeah, and we do a lot of planning, and we have people go all over the country and meet with our advisors and help them plan, and even do plans for them at times. But our recurring revenue is over 80%. People have set fee-based type advisory plans, and when the market goes up, we benefit, and when it goes down, we don't benefit. But the way we have it pegged is we make more money only if the clients make more money first. And that's the way we like to do it. If the clients don't make as much money, we go down with them, but we're aligned and they're a partner.
Well, now we get to earn our pay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
In the tough times, it's easy when markets are going up for 40 years to be smart, but now's the time to see who's really smart.
Yeah.
When I look around and your firm and other firms, when you talk to advisors, when I talk to advisors, there seems to be sort of a general yearning for being together, being in one place. So you and I talked about this. We're an apprentice business, right? We're a mentor business. We seem to get more done. I mean, for instance, I may not know a lot about 401k. I know what they are, but there's somebody down the hall who has a business or practice that focuses on that. That person's going to be a lot better at getting that business than I am. So I collaborate, let's split the commission. Let's do this, let's do that. How much that gets lost with all this pandemic, nobody being in an office. I'm kind of trying to get a sense of where you think we should be as an industry, and then what is your firm specifically going to do about it?
Yeah, I look at all that, the work-life balance, and we do have flexibility here, especially in our branch system. We let people, we trust them, and they run their practice and their branch the way they want to do it, and we support them.
Yeah.
In our home office, I view it a bit like coals in a fire. So you got a fireplace with, let's say, 6 coals, and there's a blazing fire. But then if you take away one of the coals and put it over here on the left, take away another coal, put it over here on the right, eventually those coals you remove are gonna smolder and become cold. Yet the original fire isn't gonna be as high because there's not as many coals together. I view that a lot with employees who are not in an office, because we need the people together to create a 1 + 1 = 3 or 1 + 1 = 4. And so we're going to have flexibility, but we also value our team being together, finishing each other's sentences, and having fun together, and reimagining, reinventing how we do business.
Yeah, and the Zoom stuff, well, a couple of things. One is, I think a lot of firms have big real estate commitments. You know what I mean? And those are weighing on the balance sheet, and if no one's using them, it's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. And, our home office here where we're doing this podcast, we just took over another 10,000 feet on this floor, and then another 10,000 feet upstairs. And we're in a 15-story building here in St. Louis, Missouri, Clayton, Missouri. And not too many years ago, we were the smallest tenant, and now we're the largest tenant.
Right.
And then you're reading you read online about firms are cutting back space. Well, we're increasing it only because we really value our people. They're special, they're important. When I'm in town, which is usually 3 days a week because I travel, I like to go around and say something to everyone in our office, even if they're at an entry-level role, they work 1 day a week. I want them to know that they're part of our future, they're valued, they have a voice, and that we need them here, and that they're part of our culture, and they're a big part of our future.
Yeah, well, you can't get that on a Zoom call. And now some stuff for, in terms of financial advisors developing, business, there's an awful lot you can do on Zoom. And in a lot of ways, it's been beneficial being able to reach clients who are sort of stuck at home. And I'm not anti-Zoom, but it's hard to get new business.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'll give you an example. We've got a lady that's an advisor for us and a branch manager out east. And she was here for the board meeting yesterday. We put her on the board a couple of years ago, and she's fantastic. But she started as a receptionist, And then her goal was to be a sales assistant. And then she was a junior advisor, then an advisor. And now she does tremendous business and she's a branch manager. But she told me something I never forgot. She said when she was a receptionist, she knew what her end goal was, but she would watch our advisors and how they walked, how they talked, what their first sentences were when they called a prospect or a client. She would model her behavior after theirs if she thought it was the right behavior to model. And so she told me a couple of days ago that she would have never had the success that she now has if she didn't have several advisors that were older and wiser that she could experience an apprenticeship with and model herself after them. And now she's doing the same thing for other people that are younger than her.
Yeah, well, that's the only way our business is going to grow. You know, I think there's a lot of stuff we can do with Zoom, but I think the mentorship aspect obviously gets hurt. Plus, you know, young people coming into the business, they need that kind of guidance and structure.
Yes.
And we need more young people.
Well, you know, there's a story that I heard that I think is so true. And when you give somebody feedback, that's valuable. But if you give somebody recognition, it's 10 times more valuable than the feedback. But if you mentor somebody and you're a role model, it's 10 times more valuable than the recognition and 100 times more valuable than the feedback. And so we want to put our people in the branches and the home office in a position where there can be active role modeling and mentoring and coaching and helping people be better. And we've got a great group of coaches that we outsource to for our advisors, and they can choose, and we even, you know, pay for part of that. And it's for people that want to get to the next level. And we have world-class people that we partnered with that can be game changers for our advisors.
You can't do that unless you care. You see people in these mentor roles that are terrible mentors, right? You know, they can't be bothered, or, you know, the firm tries to make that happen. It has to happen organically. So you have to have an environment that's comfortable with that. But you also have to genuinely care about the people. And when you do, you get so much back.
Yes.
As the mentor, you're not necessarily doing it to get back, you're doing it to help. But like a lot of service offerings, the more you do it, the better your life becomes.
I mean, that's exactly right. And you know, if people are curious to learn and they've got ambitions and they're like a sponge that's learning, those are the people that want to get ahead. And one of our goals here in the home office is we want to take as much off the plate of the advisor as possible, as many compliance and administrative issues off their plate, bureaucracy off their plate. We have very little bureaucracy here, red tape, silos,
I've seen that.
all that stuff. And we believe, and I don't know how to measure it, but we believe that we might take 2 to 3 hours of that stuff off the plate of the advisor so they can spend more time with clients, build their practice, spend more time with their family, more time exercising with their friends, and just having a total free and flexible lifestyle here at Edwards.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that. That's a good way to. That's a good way to end. Believe it or not, we've been 20 minutes. Is there anything else you wanted to say that I need to bring up?
No, I don't think so. It's you know, we have a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have a ton of fun here. And I would just say to people, if to kind of look in the mirror and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you where you are? And, you know, a lot of people tell us a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6. Our people, if you ask them, and, you know, for the most part, I think it's a 9 or a 10. Our people are owners of the business. They love it and they trust our people and they have great relationships. Everyone's accessible. I travel around to branches all over the country constantly. I love to go in for client appreciations, for open houses. And we're very intentional about that here. And we look forward to meeting many people.
Great. Thanks, Ted.
Well, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, great.
All right.